Radio, feel free, hop on the boat.
If you wish, or a coffee, or walk around the gardens. And then I will take 2 ladies down to Penguins and other people to the boat. I'm bringing you back from the boat after the 3 o'clock trip, and you 2 ladies will be brought down to the boat, and then the boat in Dunedin since the early 70s, first as a journalist and then as a documentary producer, and so I know lots of useless information about the city in New Zealand. I've learned, since I've had this business, I've learned a lot about the history that I never knew before, and always they now take 12 hours to load much bigger ships with containers. Here that was being reclaimed. And when the Maori people came here about 1200 AD, they had 20 kilometres of harbour for their little waka, their canoes, and they could actually take them up the tidal sand flats, pull them over up small streams, over low sand hills and into inlets that open to the ocean. So as you look over to the city, you can see a green belt of trees. When the city was designed on paper back in Edinburgh, 1846, a surveyor came here and measured up the city, went back to Edinburgh, and it was mapped out on paper. You can see the tall buildings of the university over to the right hand side, and the stadium built in 2011 for the Rugby World Cup. Only covered stadium. This house was built by William Larnach. He came as a banker, 1867. He quickly realised there was more money to be made in business. So he started with another man called Guthrie. He started an importing company for hardware, and they went into timber. Kauri in the north and forest in the south. This was a little scheme of his. This was going to be a tavern. He had a ferry boat built to come across the harbour. It's been a great year for both of those things flowering this year. So Larnach Castle is in the trees at the top of the hill over there. That's where we're going now. And then I'm going to drive you out towards Tairoa Head, the entrance to Otago Harbour. And the boat will go around Tairoa Head a little way out to sea. So there's the long sand flats you can see at the distance there. That's Aramoana, and the entrance to the harbour is on the right hand side, hidden from our view. Port Chalmers is halfway down the harbour, hidden by that peninsula. We'll go a bit closer to that.
It's on the left side.
Yes, on the left. And it's quite full tide, nearing full. Being first opened up for farming, wire fencing was a new technology, rather easier and quicker to build a wire fence than a stone wall. So that's why you don't see many stone walls around New Zealand. I live down below us here, directly below, on the harbour side road. So as the early settlers came, they brought a lot of trees from Europe and America. A little plantation of trees below us. These are also known as Monterey cypress, and they were brought for windbreak. Otago Peninsula and harbour. low islands in front of us and the low hills were the first volcanoes to erupt. They started about 16 million years ago under the ocean, and 13 million years ago they broke through the surface. And these low hills built to 1,000 meters tall, but that was really soft rock. They're called trachyte, so that has eroded down to only 30 to 40, 50 meters high. And then over the next 5 million years, there was a lot of different volcanoes erupting from vents, 18 vents on Otago Peninsula alone. Different kinds of rock. You'll see from the boat the different layers of rock on Taiaroa Head, and even round the corner you can see the joining of two layers of rock. The last volcanoes to erupt were Flagstaff, you can just see through the cloud there, and Mount Cargill, which is hidden by cloud with the television mast on that you'll see when it's clear. As we go around this corner, if you look on our right, you see this rock here. It's quite hard. It's not bluestone, but it is basaltic. First church has had extensive repair work done on it.
These look like dry stone walls.
Yep, Galloway double dyke pattern from the Highlands. The early settlers brought, and this one hasn't been restored, just alongside us now, so I don't know whether they'll get to it or not. Below us is Boulder Beach, an important breeding place for the yellow-eyed penguins, which have suffered a decline in numbers of about 80% in the last 20 years there. There's been replanting of native vegetation done for the penguins to nest in the cool shade. They need that because they're cold water birds. A lot of predator trapping done against wild cats, stoats, ferrets. Really nice. Just got to pull over and let this camper van past us. So the village was started before Larnach bought it all up, but then it became a lot of shares in the bank, because actually his rich Uncle Donald was a banker. He was in England, even though he gave William a start. Uncle Donald would be worth $4.5 billion today. And William wanted to be like Uncle Donald. He and Eliza visited England early in their marriage, stayed with Uncle Donald in his mansion, and but after his death, through much of the 1900s, the garden fell to pieces and the house fell to pieces. And part of the story today belongs to Margaret Barker, who has owned this now for 50 years. She bought it basically as a ruin with her husband when they were young. She was only 25 years old. So the last 50 years she has spent restoring the castle and the garden. This is now one of New Zealand's 9 gardens of international significance along the timber venture. But all of these beautiful ornamental flowers, shrubs, her work, she's still... So here we are, Larnach Castle. He never called it a castle, he called it a house, he called it the camp. As you'll see in his foyer, the local people called it a castle, and it's obvious why. I'm going to drop you at the front gate and park the bus, and I'll come back and meet you outside here.
Can we leave stuff on the bus now?
Yes, bus. I'll lock the bus up if you want to leave anything. I'll lock the bus. So there are bathrooms in here. The cafe